Good afternoon and welcome to Author Talk. I'm your host Cody Wetherington, and today we'll be taking a short trip to Perry, Georgia, where we'll visit James Farmer at his James Farmer Design Studio. Well, good afternoon, viewers. We're here at James Farmer Inc. We're here with James Farmer.
Here I am.
How you doing, James?
Good, Cody. Thanks for coming over.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us. Tell our viewers a little bit about yourself.
Well, for those of you who don't know me, I feel like a few of you might. I grew up here in Perry and in Hawkinsville, so I get in trouble when I go places and ask where I'm from. You know, it depends on what crowd I'm with. You know, I can either be from Hawkinsville or I can be from Perry. But then my mama's family's from Warner Robins, so they try to claim me. But Perry is kind of neutral territory.
All right,
Yeah.
cool. Tell us about, attending college, then deciding to come back to Perry to open your design studio.
Well, I was at Auburn, and the joke in the family is Granddad said, "You can go where you want, but I'll send a check to Auburn." So I thank you. But anyways, I was in school, and I had this idea that I was studying landscape design and art history. I had an idea for a book, and it would be a book that would be a series of books that would start in the garden and work their way into the home. So for me, that comes naturally through cooking. A lot of people in Hawkinsville know Miss Mary Wright. She raised me just about and taught me a lot about cooking. And so I love knowing about Southern cooking, knowing about the farm that we grew up on Buck Creek Road. That had a lot to do with my education and just knowing about the seasons. So I had that in my childhood, and then there at Auburn I had that realization that I really want to do, a lifestyle kind of series of books where I could teach people how to grow it, how to cook it, and really enrich your life with it.
Awesome. Now, how did you get there? How did you get to your publishing deal?
Well, that was a great example of what I call a blind pig finding an acorn. So I had a garden that I was a part of the renovation for in Macon. And this garden was featured in a book called The Private Gardens of Georgia. That publisher interviewed me for my part of the book, and I told them, I said, "Y'all, I've got a book idea." And they kind of laughed in my face. I was 25 years old with a book idea and never published nothing, and I just kind of got going with it. So I made some contacts in the publishing world. I hired a literary agent, and after a lot of no's, that publishing company that I first talked to ended up saying yes. So this blind pig found an acorn with that publishing company, and we're working on book number 7. So I think I've done good by then.
Wow. Now, your series, you came up with the series in Auburn, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You had that initial idea. Now, you're on book 4 right now?
Well, book 7 will be out next fall.
In the series.
In the series,
Okay.
but book 4 in the Time to series. So a time to plant, a time to cook, dinner on the grounds, which is it's a kind of a celebration book, and then a time to celebrate. That's what's coming out next fall.
Now, when you released that first book, they kind of sent you everywhere.
They did. I went on a
Yeah, tell us about that.
Okay. Well, I went on this national book tour, so that was one of those things where I have to go to places like New York and California and Chicago, and where are you from? I seriously don't think they're going to know Hawkinsville or Perry, and they might have heard of Macon, but they all knew Atlanta. So if y'all fly into Atlanta and drive 2 hours south, you'll be there. So that was an amazing experience for me, and I still travel extensively. So I'll have a fall book tour and a spring book tour coming up. I'm looking forward to places like Dallas and LA and all kinds of neat places in between.
Wow, so you enjoyed it much.
I do. Plus I get to eat.
Of course.
Yeah.
Now, you were also on the Paula Deen show.
Yes,
correct?
Miss
Tell us
Paula.
about Paula Deen.
Well, Miss Paula's a great friend, and she hosted my book release party for my cookbook, A Time to Cook. And there's nothing like having a friend in the business, especially someone who's been in the business. So I love that I can call Paula and say, "Paula, look, I've got a recipe and it feeds 6 people, but I'm having a party. I need to feed 60. And she's really good about that because she started out cooking for a few people, and now she cooks for hundreds of people. Wow. So Miss Paula my relationship with Paula is one of the best blessings in my life. We filmed for her show, and we filmed some fun things with her, and I'm thrilled for what she has coming down the pipes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, the drink book, its name is?
It's called Sip and Savor.
Okay. where did the idea for Sip and Savor come from? It's a non-alcoholic book.
Well, it is. So I joke that I'm a recovering Baptist. So there's you won't find alcohol in the book, but if you know how to make a drink, you'll know how to make a drink. Well, what I did was my publishers also they're out west, and there's a lot of conservative folks there that they felt there was a need for a drink book that was healthy things from the garden, not just all alcoholic drinks. And I thought, well, you know what? I remember this thing where my friend of mine in Montgomery would take rosemary and put it in her lemonade, and it's just delicious like that. Or I love fresh squeezed orange juice and then my tea. I'm kind of known for my sweet tea, so putting them together, it's not an Arnold Palmer, it's a James Farmer. But that book has been really fun because stores like Williams-Sonoma carries it, and it's really neat for a kid from this neck of the woods to write a book and then have great stores all over the country sell it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, where do you get your recipes and
Most of my food recipes are family things. So my Mimi, Miss Mary, or just learning stuff. But there was a cookbook out of Bainbridge, Georgia, where my Mimi was from Bainbridge, and there was a cookbook from there that was a lot of inspiration for a lot of my food. Mimi cooked from that cookbook, so you knew it was good. And what I loved about the Bainbridge cookbook was that there were people in there, though I didn't know them, I felt like I did because I'd eaten their pound cake. So that was a lot of things. But I'll tell you what, some of my travels, I'll go somewhere and I was in a little place in Louisiana, and the way they did the beef tenderloin was they smoked it first, and then they grilled it, and the marinade that they used before the grill, it was just, and they used that marinade with the wood chips and smoking it, and I never thought about that many layers of it. So I thought, that's amazing. So that right there was inspiration there. So recipes can come from all over, but mainly family.
Now, you yourself, you're a man that wears very many hats, not just design and landscaping, but you also did some work for Southern Living.
That's right. I'm an editor at large for Southern Living magazine. Wow. So there's a few of us. There's a friend of mine in Dallas named Kim Whitman. She's also an author, and she contributes on kind of the fashion part and the Southern style part of Southern Living. There's my friend Jenna Bush Hager. Jenna's daddy and granddaddy were in politics. And Jenna contributes kind of on the social aspect of Southern life, and then I get to contribute on the food and garden part. So the three of us are the editors at large. I mean, we can contribute to all parts of the magazine. Plus, they'll fly us around and put us on places like the Today Show, and wow, we have a good time doing that.
Wow, that's amazing. It certainly sounds like you've stumbled into some very humbling, at least, experiences.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, you initially started off doing some designing on Sea Island?
I did. One of my first projects was down there. I was so fortunate that I had some clients from Macon who had a house down there. And they asked me, we had done some work in their garden in Macon, and asked me if I could help with their garden on Sea Island. And that's just one of those things where it's like, oh, please don't make me go work on Sea Island. So it was a lot of fun. I've done a few events there. I've had book signings there. But even before the books, I had a couple garden projects, and they were a lot of fun.
Awesome. Now, after Sea Island, is that when you came to Perry, or?
Well, so when I moved home from Auburn in 2005, I bought a house in Kathleen, and I had a home office. So I always worked from home. And what's kind of nice about having a home office is you don't have to get dressed.
Right.
And but I had a little studio there where I drew plans, and then I'd take plans to meet with clients, or it was a home, and it was a home and a home office. But I quickly outgrew that, and so in 2012 I sold my house, and I right at the end of 2012 moved in down here, but technically opened in 2013. So I knew I wanted to be on Carroll Street. I knew I wanted to be downtown Perry. So when this building became available, I hopped on it.
Now, Carroll Street does seem like the perfect place for your design studio.
It is.
Is that single-handedly what made you choose Perry? You could have easily gone to Macon, Warner Robins.
I really wanted to stay small, and I had the big idea to go small. And a part of that was a friend of mine in Atlanta offered me a place to have an office. And I looked at it and I thought, that is so cool. Atlanta is just so cool. And I got to thinking about, well, I wouldn't even know what bank to go to, or I wouldn't know who would be my attorney to draw up, or who would be my accountant. I started thinking about this, and I thought,
Right.
but on Carroll Street, I can walk across the street to just about any of that.
Right.
And plus, you got Swanson Biscuits across the street,
Right.
right here, right next door. So that really helped it there. But really, what got down to it was this: I had a vision that if I could be the James Farmer that I want to be, I have to be home, and that wouldn't be in Atlanta. So I love Atlanta, and I'm there probably about once a week, and that's awesome. I actually do have just a little workspace there, so if I need to do some work there, right there in Buckhead, I can be there and meet with clients there, or whatever it needs to be. But here at 936 Carroll Street, that's home. That's international headquarters.
Wow. Wow. Now, where you do events?
I do.
Also. Where can our viewers book you for an event?
Well, jamesfarmer.com is the best thing to do. If you want to book us for an event, if you want to book a consultation for your home, or we love that jamesfarmer.com is a great website because you can see pictures of our work, you can see links to buy the books. Always have people buy books. Jamesfarmer.com is my way of having a card out there where everyone can contact us. So there's an online form, you can fill it out. So if you've got an event, here recently we just did a wedding in North Carolina, and we did a rehearsal dinner down at St. Simon's, and that was interesting because they were both on the same weekend. So I had half my crew in St. Simon's, the other half of us up in the mountains of North Carolina, and we made it happen. So love doing events, especially during the right season. So I love fall and spring and summer when there's a lot to cut. So we just actually had hosted a big event out of my family's pavilion too.
Awesome. Anything to get it done.
That's right. That's right.
Awesome philosophy to live by. Is JamesFarmer.com the only place viewers can get your books from? Or
No, you can order, if you order from JamesFarmer.com, they come signed. So that's why I tell people to order from the website. But anywhere books are sold, you can buy them from Amazon, you can buy them from different book publishers, but or book sellers and vendors. But I always encourage people to support the author. And when by whether it's my Facebook page or Instagram or Twitter or whatever, there's ways to connect. But I feel like JamesFarmer.com is the best way because you can fill out a form on there. Well, I guess you're not filling it out, you're typing it out. But you can say if you want it to, this is to Susie, from Joe, we can fill it all out, and then the author himself will sign it.
Now, what are your Twitter handles if our
Sure.
viewers want to connect with you online?
Love connecting online. So for Instagram, it's James T. Farmer.
Okay.
And then I have my Facebook James Farmer page, and then also I have for Twitter it's All Things Farmer, and that's All Things Farmer is also my blog. And my blog has been a fun thing because I started blogging before I ever had a book,
Right.
and that's given me a great outlet for writing, and it's given me a great opportunity to have an excuse to cook. Even if it's not in a book or if it's a recipe I just love, but right now I've just started a new series about, well, it's coming to a close actually, it's Peachy Keen. I just did a whole series of blog posts about peaches. But I've got a new series starting on the blog, and it's about Farmdale Cottage, which is my house that I'm building here on my family's land in Perry.
And you wanted that as a way to get yourself out there?
Yeah,
And just kind
absolutely.
of transform from the blog into...
Well, what was really interesting to me was this. I had never read a blog. I never knew anyone who had a blog. It was just an odd word, really.
Right.
And a buddy of mine from Auburn emailed me one day, sent me a link, and he said, look at my wife's blog. And I thought, what? And he said, basically it's her website. And I looked at it, and she had posted about a soup that she had cooked for her family. She's a great cook, and I thought, that is so awesome. And so then she linked it to Facebook, and so people were commenting saying, I love this soup, and I loved how you did that. And that really inspired me because I would have friends come over for a dinner party or supper or whatever it was, and they'd say, I love this recipe. And it's my way of saying, all right, well, here you go, buddy. Here's my Brunswick stew recipe. But I could get a story going about it. So I could write about having my friends over, and I loved that. And it's an outlet. It's an outlet for writing. It's an outlet for entertaining, excuses to set the table and take a pretty picture and then write about it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, your books are all about growing it yourself, cooking it yourself, like you said. What made you decide to focus on that?
Well, I was inspired by a lot of great Southern people and Southern characters, and something that was very inspirational to me was knowing that, okay, the South is known for certain foods. You know, I talked about peaches a second ago, so we can use peaches as an example. But what's so cool to me about peaches is that I know who grew those peaches. I'm not just going to the grocery store and buying them. And even if it is at the grocery store, I still know who grew them. And, you know, those were the kids I went to school with. And there was something really cool to me about knowing where your food came from.
Right.
We had a cattle farm there on Buck Creek Road. Mr. Phil Mathis, who's got M&T Meats. Like, I knew Phil bought the farm from us, and I love that I know where that's from. You know, and there's something really special about knowing a little bit about not only who grew your food, but knowing your farmer, pun intended. So I was also inspired too, you know, by people who were great cooks, and knowing they weren't cooking something just to cook it. They were cooking something because it was in season and it was time to celebrate that particular peach or that particular crop. And that was a major inspiration for me, and I hope that resounds true in the books.
Wow. Now you have a very special treat for our viewers today. James is going to show us a quick table arrangement for those of you entertaining guests this fall. What can you say about the arrangement you're going to show us today?
Well, it is a collection, first and foremost. I don't necessarily think you have to have a set of everything. It's nice to have a few things that match, but I like to coordinate more so than match a set. So what I like to do is make sure the garden is a part of it. And so I like to have some element of the garden. And then I always tell people, and it's what my Mimi told me, is that we eat with our eyes first. So before we've had that first bite of whatever we're eating, you want to have a pretty table set. And you can have just as pretty of a table with solo cups and paper plates as you can with all the china, crystal, and silver. So I think people will be surprised at how simple it is, but layers and textures and always something fun from the garden.
Awesome. Well, let's take
All right,
a look.
sure thing.
All right.
A couple things that I like to do when people are setting their table is to take the fear out of it. One of the things that I'm always scared about when I set a table is remembering right and left, because that's just kind of a daily challenge there. So I like to take that fear out of myself and then for other people when you're setting a table. Which side does the fork go on? Which side does the knife and spoon go on? So remember it this way. So that's how my Mimi always taught me. Fork has 4 letters, and so does left. Spoon and knife, they have 5 letters, so they go on the right. R-I-G-H-T, that's right. So 5 letters for knife and spoon, 4 letters for fork, there and left. I think it's a way to remember it. It helps me. So since the fork doesn't have a friend, it has to have someone to go with it. Knife has spoon as its friend, so I put the napkin with the fork on the left. That's its friend. So when I'm setting a table, I like to start from the table and build my way up. And in this case, what I did was I used a charger. And this charger is going to be the raising part of the plate off the table. There's an Italian term, it's called a sollevare. And a sollevare means to raise up, or an object that raises up. And that's what a charger is it raises that plate just off the table. So I've started with my table here, used this kind of turquoise raffia charger here, and I love using this color because it's kind of unexpected. It's green and yet it's blue and you can mix with it. So I have the charger here, and then I have a napkin here that has a little bit of that turquoise green, a little bit of navy in with it, and that is one of those things where I tell people it's okay if it blends. It's better to blend than it is just to match. So I'm going to use that as my table linen, and then I'm using a mix of different silverware. So when you're mixing your silverware, things to remember are this. You need to have something for every course. So if you're having a salad, you need a salad fork. If you're having dessert, you need a dessert fork, a dessert spoon, and you've got to have something for the main meal. And you work yourself from the outside in. So you get your fork set up. In this case, I have a mix of, this is an old mother of pearl handle with some stainless steel faux bois. So I've got a salad, and I've got the main entree fork there. So anyway, so I've got the napkin here, I've got my 2 forks, I have my dessert spoon up here, and I'm using the dessert spoon because tonight I'm probably going to serve a cobbler. And with a cobbler, I have ice cream. So I'm using a spoon, a dessert spoon. In that case, it goes up at the top, and I usually set it on the top of the charger, or on the top there, at the top of the charger on the table. The knife and spoon here, the knife is the other part of the set that matches the mother of pearl forks. and then the spoon is another part of the set of the faux bois stainless steel. So this is a mix. This is new mixed with old. This new charger mixed with an old plate. I'm a sucker for blue and white china. I love blue and white because to me it matches so much. It's kind of like nature's neutral in the sense that you look at the sky, it's blue and white most of the time anyway. So these are some old blue willow plates there. And then kind of keeping in the blues and greens, I've used some things like this kind of aqua glass. This is a recycled glass, and I love that because it's a lot of glass that just gets thrown away and fills up. This company takes glass, recycles it, and repurposes it. And I love that it has some little seed bubbles inside of it. It's just a great looking glass. So the glass goes up at the right. And then, last but not least, you need a centerpiece. The setting itself is pretty before you've even had your first bite. It's eating with our eyes first. But then you need some flowers on your table. Your flower arrangement doesn't always have to be a flower arrangement. It can be something that's a potted plant. For me, I've got some begonias that are here at the end of summer, coming into fall, and they're at their biggest and best, and they're in an old galvanized bucket. There's nothing easier than that. These live on your porch all day long, but then for your dinner party, you just set them up here. So remember, eat with your eyes first, the forks on the left, and knives and spoons on the right. Raise your plate up off the table, have something interesting like stemware or something from the garden, and you've got a great table set right there ready for friends and family, or maybe just set it up for yourself to enjoy. But all this you can find here at my shop at James Farmer Inc. in downtown Perry. And also don't hesitate to look through your great aunt's old sideboard because you never know what you may find there too. So I hope to see y'all in here soon.
Well, James, that was amazing. I mean, you just took small things and made it into a beautiful arrangement.
Well, thank you, Cody.
We really appreciate you showing that to us today. We really appreciate you, letting us come over here and do the show here.
Anytime. What we tell people about the shop and the store downtown is if you come over once, you've got to come over again. So I hope that I took some fear out of setting the table, and I hope that I gave y'all some confidence to plant something, grow something, decorate something, more importantly, maybe cook something too.
Well, great. Thanks, James. We'll see you next time.
Absolutely look forward to it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Well, we certainly had a great time today. Big thanks to everyone at James Farmer Designs. We hope you had a great time as well, and we'll hope you'll join us next time for our Author Talk.